Hello and welcome to Good Morning Thailand. I am Jay. Joining me today is Michael Kenner.
Hey.
And Waan.
Hey, สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีค่ะ
Wow. Thank you for that, Waan. Right, I have a quick disclaimer for everyone before we start the show. Today on our show, we will be talking about foreigners not obeying restrictions, as well as restrictions in Phuket that have been extended until the 28th of September. Now, if you would like to get right into the show, please click on the section where we start the show near the timeline of the video. However, for now, we are going to give a little more information and updates on some of the questions we asked our viewers yesterday, as well as how Thaiger is going to be moving forward. Now, let's get right into it. Firstly, I would like to talk about the Thaiger Summit. 20 seconds. Mike, please let us know, what is the Thaiger Summit?
Thaiger Summit's tomorrow. We're interviewing a load of CEOs about how COVID has disrupted their business and how they've disrupted the ecosystem during COVID. So it's just an interview. It's probably about an hour long. 6 or 7 CEOs of companies. So it'll be quite interesting. I mean, tune in. If you can't make the event, we'll replay on YouTube anyway. So cool.
Yeah, right. You can go to thethaiger.com and scan from QR code or click the link to register for the webinar. Secondly, top stories Thailand. Now, we've decided that Good Morning Thailand is going to be more topical based. Every day we will be having a conversation, a chat, a debate over a certain topic in Thailand, occasionally with special guests depending on what the topic is. So we've decided all the morning headlines, the top stories across Thailand and the regional news will be in a separate video in itself headed by Caitlin and or Tim and or Jet or me depending on the month. So anyone who is interested only in the morning headlines and the regional news can go directly there, as well as we have heard what the people have to say. They do want daily COVID news. So anyone who is interested in the daily COVID updates for the numbers, regional numbers, how Thailand and certain provinces are doing in Thailand, you will have a dedicated video again for just COVID. So you can go to that video and find all your COVID updates. Lastly, Mike, we will be making Thaiger clips. Now, originally, we had an idea of Thaiger bites where we would cut down certain clips that are more digestible and a lot shorter in time on certain specific segments from our shows. Can you tell the audience a little bit about Thaiger clips?
Yeah, so basically we're going to set up a separate YouTube channel which has like the content broken down into smaller bite-sized chunks, like very shorts as they're called, videos, and we'll send you the name of the channel and you can subscribe so you can see the cut down content or the best of content from different shows, and it'll be like a big aggregation of like best of type content. So this Thaiger Clips channel, we're just in the middle of making it, and we'll let you know the name once it comes out.
Right. Okay, let's get on to the polls. Now, we asked you a bunch of questions to improve our show, to improve and get to know what you would like from us. So let's get to the first question. Mike, what was the first question you asked?
Okay, so the first one was about the COVID-19 news. So we said currently we include daily infections and hospitalizations and death numbers for COVID within Thailand. How often would you like to be updated of COVID-19 stats? Now, my take was that not what these answers would actually be. So the majority of people, 61%, want to see updates on COVID stats daily, which is, the majority. And then 24% weekly, and only 15% saying not at all. So based on what's happened here, we've basically launching our own COVID stats update show, which will be as soon as they announce the provincial totals. So that way we can be the first news platform to break the COVID stats as a separate program, so you can tune in detail to all the COVID stats if you want these up to date.
Yep. Second question, Mike?
Cool. So second question was, okay, we've got all different types of length of segments that we produce. How long would you like these segments to be? And 88% of all our audience want it below 20 minutes per segment. So I think the audience has spoken. I think that kind of makes sense. 40% wants it between 5 to 10 minutes, and 5% want it as long as possible. So,
okay.
So we're going to try and cut down the content to be maximum 20 minutes in line with everyone's requests. The third question was, what type of host? I said currently we have Jay, Tim, Jet and Caitlin. as regular hosts of our program, what type of host do you want and what matters to you? Which one is most important? So 39% said they want more women hosts, as currently a lot of the people presenting are male. 18% want more guest hosts, because we've got our regulars and they want more guests. I think they want more knowledgeable people to come in and debate some of the topics in detail to create a good debate section. And then 43% actually, which is the biggest section, just want to keep it the same. Okay. They obviously like the existing presenters. I think that's probably excluding myself as regular hosts. So I think what we'll do is that we'll probably increase the female count to make it more representative of kind of gender diversity.
To get different viewpoints.
Yeah. And then just keep it relatively the same. And then the final question, which we polled, was because of the COVID restrictions and we're locked in the studio because of, it's very difficult to kind of go out and film, what type of content would you like? 20% said keep it the same, we just like the studio-based content. 13% said let's get out and speak to local Thais and interact. And 67%, the overall majority, said they want a mix between local interaction and studio-based content.
Now we have done some OB outside locations where we have done our Good Morning Thailand show from Wire Cafe as well as Intercontinental in Kamala, and we enjoyed that. And I believe if the people do want us to do the shows outside, we will come up with some options so that maybe it'll be a pleasant change for them too, to see some of Phuket's location and a change of atmosphere.
I think what they're requiring, and there's comments on all these as well. There's a lot of comments coming through, but I think they're wanting us to engage with local audience and kind of go out and speak to people.
Yes.
Okay.
To see what's really happening on the streets, because I think the studio doesn't give you a representation of what's actually happening in especially in Phuket or Thailand. So I think we'll probably add that to the agenda. So anyway, guys, thank you so much. I mean, we're actually doing another series of questions today. So there'll be a total of 8 questions. We've done 4. So we get all your feedback and we'll kind of reshape the shows in relation to what the majority of the audience want, and not just the vocal people in the comments. So thank you very much, guys. Appreciate that.
Right, and now you are updated. So we will just take a quick short break and then come back and get right into our topic today. We'll see you in a bit. Hello and welcome back to Good Morning Thailand. Let's get right into our topic for today, which is regarding restrictions and foreigners not obeying them. Now, I bring up this topic because 18 people were arrested in a police raid in Pattaya for having a birthday party. It was in the Chonburi Ban Lamung district in specific on Tuesday night, in violation of the emergency decree. Now, if you had to guess, Mike, where do you think these 18 people were from?
So if I was to guess, it would be foreigners, maybe British or other types of.
Good guess. However, these 16 men and 2 women that were found, amongst them 11 people were Thai nationals and 7 of them were Lao nationals. So yes, there were some foreigners. However, they were from Lao. Now, I bring up this topic and it's important because every time there is a party and restrictions, me personally, I'm expecting it to be foreigners because that's what the perception has come across like. Now, this is taking me back to a video that went viral, especially in Thailand, about a party, alleged party that was going on in Phuket during the time of the second COVID-19 wave. And the video went viral of a family who was having a small gathering of possibly less than 10 people who were just within their private home, having a couple of drinks, having lunch, and it went viral because the police raided it and made a whole scene. So let's just start firstly with Mike. What are your thoughts on this specific video that I'm talking about?
So, I mean, the video hopefully is overlaying somewhere, but it was slightly embarrassing. I think it was around 5 people in the Chantilly or Lion area, which is in Phuket, having drinks and food, maybe a group of friends. There was probably 5 or 6 people. And police came in filming, which is the question is why, and kind of trying to embarrass them and say that, well, COVID is here and you're having a party. I mean, the definition of a party is, everyone was caught, unknown what a party is. I mean, that's definitely not what we deem as a party. And making videos and somehow going all over YouTube and embarrassing these individuals. And it was quite distasteful, in my opinion, from what, the police's take. And because and I can walk through this afterwards. I've seen it much more in the Thai community than I have in the foreign community. I mean, what do you think, Waan, about this?
So for me, I won't call it a party. Maybe it can be like a simple dinner, or maybe like a simple lunch that people having food and then they're having alcohol. But I would consider that a party. It depends on how you want to call it and make it like more dramatic in the situation. That's it.
Yeah. So
Yes.
to put the situation in context, it was still around the time where there were quite heavy restrictions in Phuket. By the law, they were not allowed to gather or drink alcohol. I think they were not allowed to have more than 2 or 3 people within the same residential area if you don't actually live there, or if you're not coming from the same family. So by the law, they were wrong, and rightfully so, the police did intervene. However, I believe it was also basically someone has told on them. So there were snitches in the residential area, we don't know if they were foreign nationals or Thai nationals who basically called the police on them and told them, hey, these people are having parties. So if you look at it from 2 perspectives, now, from the foreigner perspective, they're just having a gathering with their family members or friends. But then from the Thai perspective, or whoever was living in that residential area, they might have been following the COVID rules, for months and months. And here someone just decides to have a party. Like, why do I have to obey the rules? Let me just call the police on them. So, there's 2 ways to look at this. So let me just ask Waan first. Waan, and I'm going to go a little bit aggressive on this.
Okay.
Why do these foreigners never follow restrictions? Why do they always want alcohol and not respect the law and want to have parties even when they're told not to?
Phuket or Thailand sometimes has seen as an entertainment destination.
Okay.
So, and because of the law enforcement as well, sometimes people who break the law, it's the police themselves, they just like take the bribe and take the money and then allow people to do that. So okay, in my friend case, sometimes when they come to Thailand, they just feel like Thailand is like a pleasant place to stay, because the law enforcement is not that strong, it's not that.
I think these foreigners were probably expats. But why do you think is there like a general perception that foreigners don't like to obey the law, or they just do whatever they want?
Well,
do you agree with that or not? Or do you think Thai people are the same?
I have so many friends with different views. Somebody like my friend that came months ago, he tried to check with so many rules, like so many restrictions going on like in Phuket, but why some of them live here for long times already, and he was like, I know everything, I know the police gonna ignore me or something like that,
So they think they can get away with it?
Yes,
basically.
they think they can get away with it because they get away with it so many times already. But the newcomer, my friend, like another friend, he tried to check even this break the law because he is afraid, because he don't know how it is like in with the law of Thailand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Mike, what do you think about this? Why do you feel like foreigners are maybe a bit more cheeky and they don't care of the rules as much as they should?
I think if I was going to break this down into 2 things, the first thing I'd like to say is that during the whole lockdown period where Phuket went into heavy lockdown, where all the different areas were closed and you couldn't leave and the beaches were shut, the majority of people obeying it was everyone. There was a group of Thai men that sat in the hut every day on the beach getting drunk, 14 people, without any restrictions whatsoever. But I was told, as I'm walking into the ATM just by myself, people making sure my mask is up. But so there's definitely dual rules going on. Just like where you get dual pricing, this was dual rules. Thais were allowed to behave differently to foreigners because at that time there was very much an anti-foreigner sentiment within Thailand, because COVID was thought to have been brought by these dirty foreigners, which is what I think the health minister came out and said. So I think there was an anti-foreigner sentiment going on anyway, but there was definitely dual rules. I think when it comes to the Westerners or foreigners in Thailand now, flouting these rules, I just think the reality is that their gatherings might be slightly louder in more bigger venues as opposed to what Thais are having. I think the same is going on in both communities. I mean, when I say I think, I 100% know. I've seen these gatherings going on consistently. I have not participated in any gatherings, but I've definitely seen all these gatherings happen. So the question is why every time something breaks in the media, is it always a foreign-based story?
Yeah, you do have a point there, because we don't see any viral videos of police raiding, a Thai household. They do seem to make a show that, oh, we're raiding this, foreigner's house, and look at how they're not obeying the laws. And I don't know if it's targeted, but allegedly they seem to focus certain types of people, in certain types of places. Now we've been living in the post-pandemic. I mean, we still are currently, suffering from the third wave of COVID, but we've been living this for more than a year now. And there are still people who are breaking the rules or breaking the restrictions. I mean, at this point, can we even be mad that they don't care? Because a lot of people don't care, right? Let's talk about it now. So there were, there were not that many foreigners involved in this. There were 11 Thai nationals. Now, let's talk about the Thai perspective. How do the Thai people feel currently? How do you feel? Do you take COVID as seriously as everyone else, or as the media portrays? What are your feelings towards this? Would you want to go or go to a party yourself?
Well, I miss party because I'm a party animal. I would admit that. But the thing is that I think most of the Thai people are tired of the situation right now, because when you look at the news, sometimes the majority of the cluster that happen in Thailand, it comes from the government personnel or maybe the elite. They have a party and then they they brought to the question that's why these people can do that, and when normal people, when they do it, maybe gathering for some small party or family party, they would treat differently. People are tired of obeying the government already, because the government themselves doesn't do anything to make their people trust them. Okay. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And do you think that in general that are Thai people the same as foreigners? Do they care the same, or maybe foreigners a bit more cheeky?
Well, they do care. Yeah, we can see that some people just gathering for gambling. Just they just want to have some happiness. But I don't say it's correct. I don't say it's the right thing to do. People are just don't understand right now because they are tired of the process and everything.
Yeah, you're right. In a way, we might not. It might not be as publicized as police raiding a foreigner's house, but Thai nationals have also been called out for gambling, gambling dens, going out and partying, and the elite parties in Bangkok who have a lot of Thai nationals in them. So yeah, I guess both foreigners and Thailand, they're just sick of it. I mean, it's been a very long time and they just want to carry on with their lives. Right, any last comments about this, Mike?
In Thailand, I think, especially amongst the all communities actually, I mean, there is no respite for COVID. I know this happens everywhere, but we have an issue with social welfare state not really providing. So people can't eat. Then they're told they can't even socialise. I mean, this is, it's too much for the communities here. I think people just want to have some normality back in their life. And yes, I think Thais in general are a very obedient society. I mean, if you look at the way they wear masks, they fully comply. Most of them, a good percentage, and in the correct way. Where I look at foreigners, always with the mask half down their chin or over their nose, and there's always a medical excuse as why they can't do this, and that seems to be the rhetoric going around. So, but I think it's we've kind of had enough. Is the reality. We need some form of normality to come back. Yes. We miss social interaction. We miss having the ability to make money so we can eat, and I can say this on behalf of the people that can't. Right. So I think people are getting really fed up with this, and that's just my take on it. So
okay, right, and a message to the viewers: if you have any comments and any views about the restrictions, people being called out, whether you're a foreigner, whether you're a Thai national, let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. As for now, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back to talk about the restrictions being extended in Phuket for another 2 weeks. Hello and welcome back to Good Morning Thailand. I'm joined today by Waan and Mike, and now we're going to be talking about Phuket restrictions. Now, restrictions in Phuket have been extended for another 2 weeks. There have not been any changes. However, starting tomorrow, they will be extended for 2 weeks and end on September 28th. Now, the restrictions do include, I'm going to give you a quick list. Educational institutions on the island are ordered to remain closed except for those conducting pilot teaching and organizing activities. Restaurants and other food and beverage outlets may open for their usual hours, but the ban on serving and selling alcohol still remains in effect. So no alcohol in restaurants still. Fresh markets and walking streets must limit the number of customers at their market. I don't know how they're going to do that. And they must also maintain social distancing of 4 square meters per person. Good luck with that. People should refrain from organizing social events in the form of parties. Now, I was going through with you, Mike, regarding this. They use the word refrain from using parties. Now, they don't outright go and say, no, you cannot, it is banned. What is your definition of refrain?
It means you can, but you shouldn't. I think the issue in Thailand amongst the foreign community, which is what our audience is no one knows the bloody rules. No one. As in, there's no like Thai governmental organisation coming out and explaining every day these are the rules for all the foreigners that live here and all the foreign-owned businesses. I mean, we're just left to kind of interpret it ourselves and make translations of documents. I think when I go to restaurants, I'm like, are we shutting tonight? They're like, we're not sure. We don't really know what the rules are. And this is something generically we know. I mean, we were talking about, are we allowed to have the gathering? And we had to go and research all different news websites because the reality is no one is sure what the rules are. And I think that's what we need. We need clarity. Okay, this is what you can do, and it's clear as mud. Just update a website, which, you know, something. I mean, maybe that's something for the Tigers to do, but we're unsure. In reality, what the rules are in different provinces, it changes so quickly.
They do change quite often, and it is quite difficult to find the updated information and the relevant information because, it seems like every other day or on a week-to-week basis, the restrictions keep getting changed.
Yeah, and I think going back to, you know, this social gathering they had in Phuket where the police walked in, they probably didn't really know what the restrictions were. You know, like we can't get together between these hours or how many people is a gathering. Nothing was very clear. So I think that's part of the issue, 100%.
Right. Well, the maximum number of people that are allowed to gather at an approved event is at 100. Now, I don't know what you have to do to get that event approved, go through a process, probably file a lot of papers. Right, more importantly, guys, 7-Eleven and Family Mart convenience stores are only allowed to operate between 4 a.m. and 11 p.m. So if you're hungry after 11 p.m. or thirsty, you are not allowed to go to a convenience store. So all the thousands of 7-Eleven stores that we can find just within Phuket itself will all be closed. So don't get hungry after 11.
Or maybe just buy first.
Or wake up at 4 a.m.
Yes.
Right. Wake up
Because everyone's going to be doing
Wake up
that.
at 4 a.m.
I love it. The government's promoting a healthy lifestyle. You know,
Yes.
it's quiet. You can get your work done. You can go to your near 7-Eleven, buy a little breakfast, some coffee.
Or if you've been out all night drinking, you've got your early morning 4 a.m. munches in the 7-Eleven.
Allegedly
Exactly.
drinking, allegedly drinking somewhere at an undisclosed place where no one can find you. You can find the full list of restrictions again on thetiger.com, and we will keep on updating you on all the new added restrictions and all the information around Thailand. As for today, that is our show. I would like to thank Waan for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome, Waan, and also Mike Kenner.
Thank you.
Right, stay tuned on Wednesday for the Digital Summit. Final thanks to Jason behind the buttons. That's it for the show today. We hope you've enjoyed it. Have a nice Tuesday. See you tomorrow.